I never leave home without a jump starter because you never know when you're going to need it. So the question is, which jump starter is the best? Well, let's find out. We'll see which jump starter can start a big block engine and then a diesel. Then we'll see which jump starter has the best tire inflator. Finally, we'll bench test the jump starters to see which one makes the most cranking amps. At a price of only $60 is this Gillaway brand. Some of the brands are just jump starters, but the Gillaway is a jump starter with a tire inflator. They claim it can deliver 4,000 amps. It's supposed to have a start function for completely dead batteries. We're going to test that. The air compressor can deliver up to 150 psi. Includes 2 USB ports as well as a USB-C. The battery is supposed to have a capacity of 59.2 watt-hours. And the Gillaway is made in China. Let's use this battery in all the vehicles, which is in very bad condition at 0.04 volts, and we'll see how quickly the jump starters can rotate the engine. Plug the power cord into the 12-volt vehicle start port. Connect the red clamp to the vehicle's positive terminal and the black clamp to the vehicle's negative terminal. When it's successfully connected, the indicator light shows green. Start the vehicle. The old Ford Ranger has a V6 engine, and I've already disabled the ignition. And the voltage is just too low for the Gillaway, and it won't jumpstart the vehicle unless it senses a 12-volt power source. I'll go ahead and use a battery charger to trick the Gillaway into cooperating. And the Gillaway is rated for 4,000 cranking amps, but is performing much more like 400 cranking amps. And the Gillaway lasted less than 2 seconds before powering itself down. At a price of $70 before the coupon or $56 with the coupon is this eAnt brand. It includes a jump box, tire inflator, power bank, and LED light. It's supposed to deliver 4,000 amps. Designed for extreme temperatures from -4 degrees Fahrenheit to 140. It has 2 USBs and 1 USB-C. The power bank is rated for 22,000 milliamp hours. They claim the light delivers 400 lumen. The eAnt is made in China. And the eAnt is also rated for 4,000 cranking amps. Unfortunately, the Ant is doing worse than the Gillaway. Probably not spinning fast enough to start the engine. And the second attempt is pretty weak, and so is the third attempt. Unfortunately, the fourth attempt is also pretty weak. The negative connector on the Ant has already become disconnected. A look inside the jump starter connector assembly, and the solder has already melted. I attempted to make a temporary repair to allow the Ant to continue participating in the review. The Ant's charge is at less than 50%. At a price of $70 before the coupon or $56 with the coupon is this AIPOWAY brand. Just like the previous 2 brands, this is an air compressor, LED flashlight, USB battery pack, and a jump starter. It's supposed to have a very impressive 5,000 cranking amp capacity. They claim the battery capacity is 26,800 milliamp hours. The flashlight is supposed to have 800 lumen. It's supposed to inflate a tire in 5 to 8 minutes. Even if the battery voltage is too low, pressing boost button will automatically boost and restart the car. It has 2 USBs as well as a USB-C. And the AIPOWAY is made in China. And the AIPOWAY has a 5,000 cranking amp rating and is definitely spinning over the engine a lot faster than the Gillaway and the Ant. And the AIPOWAY is down to 83% charge. We'll be testing 2 different jump starters made by YaberAuto. The first one costs $70. It's rated for 3,500 amps. It's supposed to have a 600 lumen light. They claim a battery capacity of 21,800 milliamp hours, 2 USBs as well as a USB-C. It also includes an adapter for the 12-volt accessory. And the YaberAuto is made in China. And the YaberAuto is rated for 3,500 cranking amps, and it seems to be spinning over the engine faster than the AIPOWAY. The YaberAuto lasted just over 5 seconds before giving up. At a price of $77 before the coupon or $56 after the coupon is this Nexpow brand. It's supposed to have a 4,000 cranking amp jump starter. Advertised battery capacity is 20,000 milliamp hours. Includes 1 USB and 1 USB-C. They claim you can charge it in only 2 hours. It's also supposed to inflate a car tire in 0 to 36 psi in just 5 minutes. The LED flashlight is supposed to deliver 800 lumens. And the Nexpow is made in China. And the Nexpow is by far the most powerful jump starter yet. The engine is definitely spinning over faster with the jump starter compared to a 600 cranking amp battery. And the Nexpow lasted just under 9 seconds before powering down. The battery is still at 92% charge. At a price of $77 is this BRPOM brand. Just like the previous brands, it's a jump starter, air compressor, power bank, and LED light. It's supposed to deliver 5,000 cranking amps. It's also supposed to have a 24,000 milliamp hour battery. You only need 3 minutes to inflate a car tire from 0 to 36 psi. 2 USBs, a USB-C, and a DC out. It's supposed to have a 400 lumen light. And the BRPOM is made in China. And the BRPOM is doing a great job, but the engine isn't spinning over nearly as quickly as the Nexpow. And the BRPOM lasted just under 5 seconds. The battery is still showing full charge. At a price of $84 is this UTRAI brand. It's supposed to deliver 5,000 cranking amps. They claim their tire inflator can inflate a tire in only 4 minutes. The tire inflator hose is built into the machine. It's supposed to have a 27,000 milliamp hour battery capacity. It has a USB-C, a DC out, and a USB-C. And the UTRAI is made in China. The UTRAI definitely outlasted the BRPOM, finally giving up after almost 7.5 seconds. The battery is still showing that it's fully charged. At a price of $90 is the second YaberAuto jump starter we'll be testing. It's only a jump starter, but I had to test it since it claims 6,000 cranking amps. This should easily start a diesel engine. USB-C, 2 USBs, and a 12-volt out. It's supposed to have a 600 lumen light. 45-watt USB-C in and out speed charging technology. It's supposed to have a battery capacity of 26,800 milliamp hours. And the YaberAuto is made in China. And the YaberAuto 6000 definitely seems like the most powerful jump starter yet, and the engine is spinning over very quickly. The YaberAuto doesn't seem like it wants to quit, but it finally overheated at just over 11 seconds, the best yet. And the jump starter battery is down to 58% charge. At a price of right at $100 is this GooLoo brand. I'm testing the GooLoo once again since it did well in the past, and we'll see if they're still on top of their game. It's a 4,000 cranking amp jump starter, 2 USBs and a USB-C. It does not include a tire inflator. The battery capacity is 23,800 milliamp hours, made in China. And the GooLoo seems to be spinning over the engine just as quickly as the YaberAuto 6000. However, it only lasted 4 seconds. I gave the GooLoo a second attempt and the battery once again lasted just 4 seconds. And the GooLoo is still at 4 bars. At a price of $130 is this Oreetga brand. They claim this jump starter can deliver 5,000 cranking amps. It also includes a tire pump. It even includes an air pump for blowing up an air mattress. Includes 1 USB and 2 USB-Cs. And the Oreetga is made in China. The Oreetga isn't spinning over the engine nearly as fast as the GooLoo, but it's still performing well. Just over a 5-second run, and the battery is still at 4 bars. At a price of $133 is this AVAPOW brand. It's supposed to deliver 6,000 cranking amps. It also comes with an LED light. It has a USB-C, 2 USBs, and a DC out. It does not include a tire inflator. And the AVAPOW is made in China. And the AVAPOW is rated for 6,000 cranking amps and is spinning over the engine faster than the Oreetga and possibly the fastest yet. The AVAPOW would have kept on going, but I went ahead and ended the test at just about 9 seconds. And the battery is still at 4 bars. At a price of $143 is this Kalyoosen brand. They claim a very impressive 8,000 cranking amps. It's supposed to have a battery capacity of 32,000 milliamp hours, 2 USBs and a USB-C. They also claim a 4,000 lumen emergency LED light. It's supposed to inflate a tire in just 5 minutes. And the Kalyoosen is made in China. The Kalyoosen is rated for an unbelievable 8,000 cranking amps. Unfortunately, the Kalyoosen is definitely overrated. Less than 4 seconds on the first attempt and just over 4 seconds on the second attempt. The battery is still at 4 bars. At a price of $370 is this NOCO GBX 155. I just purchased the previous jump starters, but this one I've had for 1 year. It performed very well last year, so I want to see if it's still holding up. After all, $370 is a lot of money and it should last a long time. It has 2 USBs and a USB-C. It's rated for 4,250 cranking amps. And the NOCO is made in China. And the NOCO is rated for 4,250 cranking amps, or about half the cranking amps of the Kalyoosen. And the NOCO is spinning over the engine the fastest of all the jump starters in the lineup. Very impressive. The NOCO has a lot more left in it, but I finally ended the test at 11.5 seconds. Most of the jump starters have a built-in tire inflator. I'll be using an inline tire pressure gauge that I've tested for accuracy, and it's very accurate. And the controls on the Gillaway just aren't very user-friendly. Let's see how quickly they can inflate a 15-inch tire to 30 psi. And the Gillaway is pretty noisy at just over 92 decibels. Unfortunately, the Gillaway powered itself down at just over 5 minutes, and the tire is only at 18 psi. I'll have to wait on the cooldown timer to reach 0. The cooldown timer is finally finished, and the Gillaway is back to work. And the tire pump is finally finished at 14 minutes. The battery went from completely full to less than half of a charge left. The Gillaway is showing 30.8 psi, and the gauge is showing 32. So the pressure error is just over 1 psi. And the E-Ant is a little bit less noisy than the Gillaway at around 90 decibels. Just like the Gillaway, the E-Ant powered itself down at just over 5 minutes. And the tire pressure is around 20 psi. After 3 minutes of cooldown, the E-Ant is back to work again. And the pump is finally finished in just over 11.5 minutes, which is about 3 minutes faster than the Gillaway. However, the battery is almost completely drained after just inflating 1 tire. Both gauges agree that the tire pressure is right at 30 psi. And the AIPOWAY seems to be the least noisy inflator yet at around 88.5 decibels. Unlike the Gillaway and the E-Ant, the AIPOWAY did not power itself down after 5 minutes. And the AIPOWAY is the fastest tire pump yet at just under 10 minutes. And both tire gauges are showing right at 30 psi. And the AIPOWAY's battery is holding up a lot better than the Gillaway and the eAnt with the 76% charge. The YaberAuto is starting off at 100% charge and is making about the same amount of noise as the AIPOWAY at 88.5 decibels. And the YaberAuto made it past 5 minutes without needing to take a cooldown break. The YaberAuto is finally finished in just under 11 minutes to move into second place behind the AIPOWAY. The pressure gauge does appear to be off by about 1/2 psi. According to the display, the battery still has a 75% charge. And the Nexpow is the least noisy inflator yet at just under 86 decibels. And it seems to be the fastest tire inflator yet at around 22 to 23 psi at 5 minutes. And the Nexpow just moved into the lead, reaching 30 psi in very close to 7 minutes. And both tire pressure gauges are showing right at 30 psi. The battery charge indicator is showing 79%, the best yet. And the BRPOM is a little bit noisier than some of the other inflators at around 90 decibels. At 5 minutes, the BRPOM is definitely the fastest tire inflator so far. And the BRPOM just moved into the lead, making it to 30 psi in around 6.5 minutes. Both gauges are showing 30 psi, and the battery is showing 4 out of 5 bars. Just like the BRPOM, the UTRAI is very close to 90 decibels. And the UTRAI is making very good progress at around 25.5 psi after just 5 minutes, the best yet. And the UTRAI just took the lead from the BRPOM at 5 minutes and 51 seconds. However, the UTRAI added 2 psi too much to the tire. And the battery is still at 3 out of 4 bars. And the Oreetga is the least noisy inflator yet at around 84 peak decibels. And the Oreetga isn't making nearly as much progress as the UTRAI at around 17 to 18 psi at 5 minutes. And the Oreetga is finally finished in 9 minutes and 39 seconds, or about 4 minutes slower than the UTRAI. The tire pressure gauge on the pump is off by about 1/2 psi. The battery is still showing 4 bars. And the Kalyoosen is still pretty noisy at 90 peak decibels. At 5 minutes, the Kalyoosen is making pretty good progress at around 25 psi. And the Kalyoosen moves into second place behind the UTRAI at 6 minutes and 10 seconds. The battery is still on 4 bars, and the tire pressure gauge on the inflator appears to be off by 1/2 psi. So the UTRAI is the fastest tire pump at 5 minutes and 51 seconds to reach 30 psi. Kalyoosen finished in second place at just over 6 minutes, and BRPOM about 6.5 minutes. Before we test out the jump starters on a diesel engine, let's see if they can spin over an engine on the Farmabago, which has a big block 454 engine. I'll use the same dead battery for the Farmabago. Let's test out the fully charged Gillaway first. And the Gillaway struggled with the V6 Ford Ranger, and it's definitely not performing like a 4000 cranking amp battery with the Farmabago. Let's test the fully charged eAnt next. And the Ant definitely outperformed the Gillaway this time, but the engine just isn't spinning over all that quickly. And the AIPOWAY is rated for 5000 cranking amps. And the AIPOWAY definitely outperformed the eAnt and the Gillaway by spinning over the engine faster. The YaberAuto is rated for 3500 peak amps. Unfortunately, the YaberAuto didn't perform quite as well as the AIPOWAY, and the Nexpow is rated for 4000 peak amps. And the Nexpow seems to perform by far the best so far, with the engine spinning over pretty quickly, and the BRPOM is rated for 5000 amps. It was pretty competitive, but the Nexpow definitely performed better than the BRPOM. The UTRAI is rated for 5000 amps. And the UTRAI seems to offer more cranking amps than the BRPOM, and it's maintaining a higher cranking speed. And the YaberAuto is rated for 6000 amps. And the YaberAuto seems to be spinning over the big block 454 faster than the UTRAI, and is maintaining a higher cranking speed. The GooLoo is rated for 4000 amps. And the GooLoo seems to be spinning over the engine the fastest yet. The Oreetga is rated for 5000 amps. And the Oreetga isn't spinning the engine over nearly as quickly as the GooLoo. The AVAPOW has a 6000 amp rating. And the AVAPOW seems to be even more powerful than the GooLoo and is maintaining a high cranking speed. The Kalyoosen is rated for a very impressive 8000 cranking amps. Unfortunately, the Kalyoosen isn't performing nearly as well as the last 4 brands. The NOCO is rated for 4250 cranking amps. And the NOCO is definitely outperforming all of the other brands. Very impressive. The diesel truck uses 2 batteries. I'll install Cousin Eddie's battery that's made of wood on one side of the vehicle. I'll use the completely dead battery on the other side. So the jump starters won't be getting any help from the batteries. I have not disabled the fuel system on the Cummins diesel, so the engine should start. And the Gillaway doesn't have enough cranking amps to start the engine. Just like the Gillaway, the Ant doesn't have enough cranking amps to start the diesel engine. And the AIPOWAY has plenty of cranking amps to start the diesel engine one time. Unfortunately, it did overheat and it wasn't able to start the engine 3 times back to back. After one attempt, the battery is now at 77% charge. And the YaberAuto is able to start the diesel engine 2 times before overheating. And the battery is still at 71% charge. And the Nexpow made very easy work of starting the diesel engine 3 times back to back. The battery is still showing a 91% charge. And the BRPOM is able to start the diesel engine, but it doesn't have nearly as much kick as the Nexpow. And the battery charge is down just 1 bar. And the UTRAI was able to start the diesel engine twice before the jump starter overheated. The UTRAI is still showing a full charge. And the YaberAuto 6000 seems to have the most kick yet and made very easy work of starting the engine. And the battery charge indicator is showing 75%. And the GooLoo 4000 also has a lot of kick and made very easy work of starting the diesel engine. And the battery is still showing 4 bars. The Oreetga also made very easy work of starting the Cummins. The battery charge indicator is showing 3 out of 4 bars. And the AVAPOW is a very powerful jump starter and made very easy work of starting the diesel engine 3 times back to back. The AVAPOW did not overheat and the battery is still showing a full charge. The Kalyoosen has plenty of cranking amps to start the diesel engine, but not nearly as much kick as the AVAPOW. The Kalyoosen is showing 4 bars. And the NOCO definitely has the most kick of all the jump starters and made very easy work of starting the diesel engine. The battery has nearly a full charge. Assessing performance is highly subjective. So let's go ahead and bench test the starters using a carbon pile tester. The dials in the carbon tester are very difficult to see, so we use the 2 gauges on the left. Amps is on the left and volts is on the right. And the Gillaway made it to 418 amps, but the voltage is only at 5.38. If you take amps and multiply it times the volts, that equals the watts. And it's only 2,249 watts for the Gillaway. The Ant has really struggled throughout the showdown and is struggling this test at 382 amps at 5.44 volts. That works out to only 2,078 watts. The AIPOWAY has performed better at jump-starting vehicles than the Gillaway and the Ant. 535 amps at 6.59 volts is the best yet at 3,526 watts. The YaberAuto has a decent amount of kick at 491 amps and 7.38 volts. That's 3,624 watts to move into the lead over the AIPOWAY. The Nexpow won't activate without help from a 12-volt source. And the Nexpow has performed very well throughout the showdown, and 439 amps at 12.47 volts is by far the best yet at 5,474 watts. The BRPOM isn't nearly as powerful as some of the other jump starters at 340 amps at 8.93 volts. That's just over 3,000 watts. Just like the Nexpow, the UTRAI will not activate without a partial battery charge. The UTRAI has performed better than the BRPOM throughout the showdown, and it did once again at 613 amps at 6.11 volts. That's 3,745 watts to move into second place behind the Nexpow. And the YaberAuto is rated at 6,000 cranking amps and ran out of steam at 693 amps at 6.96 volts. That's 4,823 watts to move into second place behind the Nexpow. And the GooLoo made it to 708 amps at 7.94 volts to move into the lead over the Nexpow. That's 5,622 watts. The Oreetga claims to make 5,000 amps but only made it to 568 amps at 7.15 volts. That's only 4,061 watts. Just like the Nexpow and the UTRAI, the AVAPOW will not activate without a partially charged battery. And the AVAPOW moves into the lead over the GooLoo at 676 amps at 8.8 volts. That's very close to 6,000 watts. And the Kalyoosen is rated at 8,000 peak amps and it ran out of steam at only 587 amps at 7.2 volts. That's only 4,226 watts. And the NOCO just won't activate without some help from a 12-volt source. And the NOCO has a tremendous amount of kick at 921 amps at 7.77 volts. That's 7,156 watts to move into the lead. Very impressive. So the NOCO is by far the most powerful jump starter at 7,156 watts. The AVAPOW finished in second place at 5,949 and GooLoo 5,622 watts. All of the jump starters can be used as a power bank to charge cell phones or other accessories. I'll use this tester to drain each of the fully charged power banks at a rate of very close to 10 watts. The tester will keep track of the amount of power that's been used. It's been close to 3 hours and the Gillaway is completely drained at 29.33 watt hours. It's also been almost 3 hours for the E-Ant and it's only at 27.73 watt hours, or about 1.5 watt hours less than the Gillaway. The AIPOWAY performed better than the Gillaway and the E-Ant at 33.36 watt hours. And the YaberAuto moves into the lead at 38.38 watt hours. The Nexpow performed by far the best yet at just under 58 watt hours. The BRPOM ran out of steam pretty early at only 32.35 watt hours. And the UTRAI performed well at 45.14 watt hours. The YaberAuto 6000 performed about the same as the UTRAI at 45.49 watt hours. And the GooLoo 4000 moves into the lead at 67.56 watt hours. The Oreetga performed about the same as the UTRAI and the YaberAuto at 43.53 watt hours. And the AVAPOW barely edges out the GooLoo at 69.9 watt hours. The Kalyoosen really struggled in this test at only 32.13 watt hours. And the NOCO moves into the lead at 78.34 watt hours. So the NOCO has the largest capacity at 78.34 watt hours. AVAPOW finished in second place at 69.9 and GooLoo third at 67.56 watt hours. So which jump starter is the best? The left side of the chart provides some basic information on the jump starters. The right side of the chart provides information on performance. And the NOCO came out on top, finishing in first place in every category. It is a great jump starter, but it is very expensive. The AVAPOW finished in second place, and it is much more reasonably priced. The GooLoo finished in third place, and a price of $100 seems like a decent deal. I made several attempts, and the NOCO and the AVAPOW did not activate when used on a completely dead battery, and the GooLoo did activate. The GooLoo would definitely be my choice when taking into consideration price and performance. The top three jump starters do not have tire inflators. If you're looking for a jump starter that does have a tire inflator, I really like the Nexpow. The size of the jump starter and carrying case is pretty large, and the other big downside is it will not activate if attempting to jumpstart a completely dead battery. On the other hand, the BRPOM will activate and jumpstart a vehicle that has a completely dead battery, and it's a pretty good jump starter. A price of around $77 is also pretty hard to beat. I purchased all the jump starters and the supplies used to test the jump starters using my own money, just to make sure that the reviews are unbiased and fair. Also, if you're looking for more details on the jump starters, please check out the video description. Finally, all the videos in this channel, including this one, are viewer suggested. So if you have a video idea, I hope you'll take time to leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching, please take care, and look forward to next time.